What if I told you that each and every one of these coaching hires is nothing to be excited about? Today, I am exposing the cold hard truth about what is really going on in the NFL with these new coaching lands, because everybody wants to tell me that John Harbaugh and Mike McCarthy are knocked it out of the park hires, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Before we dive in, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you stopping by always to support the channel. By the end of this video, you are going to understand which hires are overhyped, which are sneaky good, and which kind of just meh. And what do we do with those teams who have uninspiring head coaches? Do they actually have a shot at contending just in their division? We're not looking for Super Bowl contenders this early in the offseason based on a coaching hire. We still have plenty more to go. Now, let me tell you which hire was an absolute home run. And the answer is none. That's the truth. We can sit here and sing all of the praises for John Harbaugh going to the New York Giants, and they're going to be competent very quickly. But is anybody sitting here thinking that this is now a Super Bowl team? That this is a team that's going to comfortably win in Dallas, in Philadelphia, and while they're playing them twice a year? It's not like John comes with this high-level offensive staff that's going to pick you apart and elevate Jackson Dart to be a superstar. I'm not exactly sure that there's really any coach that can do that. For me, the jury is still out on Jackson. He's got a lot more to prove, and if your go-to is to become a reckless runner, not slide, I am not betting my franchise on guys like that. Let's jump into some of the hires, because there's really quite a bit. And I think the ones that top the list here is Todd Monken to the Cleveland Browns, Joe Brady to the Buffalo Bills, and Mike McCarthy to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not sure any of us saw McCarthy being the guy to replace Tomlin, of all people. Teams have got to stop falling into these traps where they get a guy who had a Super Bowl run and never did it again, is past his prime, in his mid to late 60s. We are talking about winning a Super Bowl in 2011. This is not something that happened recently. Now, don't get me wrong, McCarthy is going to make your organization competent, but Mike Tomlin already did that. If you're the Rooney family, doesn't it make a lot more sense to go for one of these younger guys like Mike Lefluer or Klint Kubiak, who is going to energize your franchise, going to be able to relate to guys in the building, and have a ton of name credibility that gets the fans excited for what is in the future? There are people who are making the argument that Mike Tomlin and Mike McCarthy are just the same dude. One's a defensive guy and one's an offensive guy. Let's not, of course, skirt over the fact that the Cowboys did have an incredible offense. They scored TDs on 50% of their drives with McCarthy in 2023. The only team to ever break that was the Cowboys, with the 49ers coming in second at 45%. And once again, you've got to look at everything in the context of winning a Super Bowl. And unfortunately, I don't think Mike McCarthy is the guy that's going to get you anywhere past the divisional round. The record speaks for itself with 7 consecutive divisional round losses. Now, for Todd Monken, as a Buccaneer fan, this is a guy who used to call our plays and at one point was in conversation to be the head coach. But Todd's not really a head coaching guy. He's not somebody who's well liked by everybody in the room. He kind of rubs people the wrong way, very rough around the edges, and we have no idea what type of impact he's going to have on the defense. Is he going to be calling plays? Because Todd runs an offense that reminds me of the pace of Chip Kelly's, where we are just trying to score as many points as possible at the expense of some of the players' health. Now, I find Todd to be a little reckless on offense, pushing players to their absolute brink, trying to score as many points as possible. But the thing is, as a head coach, you sometimes just need to be able to run the ball and understand how to choose some clock, which is a major issue that they had in Baltimore. I think there are some positive things. We know that Lamar Jackson played his best football with Todd, but I would have liked him much better going to the New York Giants, and I would have liked that move a lot more than Todd going and trying to run his own squad. I think it's usually a little bit too late in life at this point to become an all-world head coach, especially when you're not the most likable guy. I will say that there is some positive things to look at beyond Lamar Jackson. We're seeing Derrick Henry get almost 2,000 yards in his offense. And in 2024, they had the third most yards in NFL history. They were number one in rushing for 2 of the 3 years during the Monken era. I think with some of those young running backs that the Cleveland Browns have, I think is an exciting time. Do I think that he's going to elevate Shedeur Sanders? That remains to be seen. At the end of the day, he is going from averaging 28.5 points per game to the 31st ranked offense. And you need a really good head coach to make strides, especially with an organization as impatient as the Cleveland Browns. And with the Joe Brady thing, it kind of feels like a cop-out to me. I think there is a decent argument for keeping Sean McDermott. I personally would have let him go. I think it's about 2 or 3 years past the time of McDermott being in the building. I think he should have been out because you hit that playoff wall a long time ago. Yes, do I believe that Josh turning the ball over 4 times is a major problem for a guy who's supposed to be in the Super Bowl every year? But I think the McDermott thing ran its course, and I can understand wanting to keep Joe Brady as the OC because he jives so well with Josh. But is anybody looking at Joe Brady? He's going to command the room and set the tone at each and every stop throughout the organization. Do people take Joe Brady serious that way? I personally just know this guy to be a good offensive guru, but he's been anointed, right? He had that great season with Joe Burrow and then became darling of the NFL, but he's kind of far past the point of him being the new hotshot coach that these teams are trying to get. Yes, he's in the building, you don't want him to leave, but did anybody have Joe Brady as their head coaching top 5 pick? Same thing with Todd Monken. It doesn't make a ton of sense besides just making your quarterback happy, but happiness hasn't won Josh a Super Bowl, and that needs to once again be the measuring stick. We know that Josh has had these incredible regular seasons, achieved consecutive 100 plus passer rating games, 79 offensive TDs in 2024, which led the entire NFL. I'm not saying that the offense isn't going to be good. Joe Brady did legitimately build a running game where it seemed impossible in Buffalo, but in these late season games, it comes down to coaching a lot of the time. Are you going to be able to overcome Josh's turnovers? It's really difficult if you're not elite in all 3 phases, and I'm not sure that Joe Brady is the answer to elevate this franchise to the Super Bowl. Can you sit here and say that he's the guy? Because I can't. I also wonder, what are the Arizona Cardinals doing? I wonder that. It feels like almost daily during the season as well as the off season. I wonder, what's the direction? Are they going to continue repeating the same mistakes? And the answer is yes. They once again went for a 6th straight first-time head coach in Mike Lefluer, who has been in these coaching conversations for a long time now. Gets an instant boost of credibility because he's got the Lefluer last name, but he's also 12 years younger than his older brother, which likely means a lack of experience. But I never advocate for a coach taking a job without a quarterback being solidified, especially as your first job. I get feeling like it's your time, but you can't just take a job for the sake of taking a job. And that's what any coach who takes the Arizona Cardinals job does to me. It shows me a lack of self-awareness. It shows me a lack of really just understanding what makes a good football operation. And there is a little bit of delusion to think that you're going to be the guy that's going to turn that situation around, when ultimately the talent isn't terrible. But if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. Now, for the Klint Kubiak move, I think it's another one of those situations where it has more upside than anything. I'm trying to look at this in a positive way, but once again, we've got a first-time head coach who will be able to lean on his dad, who was a Super Bowl winner, so that I can't discount. But this is ultimately a guy who's walking into another situation without a QB. We know Fernando is going to be the first pick. We have no idea how his game is going to translate to the NFL. I don't think the kid is elite. I don't think he's super special. We don't know if Max Crosby is out the door. We also don't know what Ashton Genty is going to look like in the new offense. I think it's going to look pretty good, to be honest, but you are walking into an organization where it's like you're just looking for your first shot. Sometimes you have to use discernment and understand that this organization chews up and spits out really good coaches. You just saw it with Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly. These guys have had major success everywhere they've gone, but the second they step into the Raiders building, it is a train wreck. And so as a first-time guy, I can't sit here and tell you that I would have done the same thing, but that head coaching money is no joke. Now, there's two final coaching hires that I want to hit on. As a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, Stefanski joining the team in my division doesn't make me nervous at all. I think they're going to be better. I think they're going to be a more buttoned up operation just because I think that's Stefanski's reputation and what he's put on the field. It's another competency hire, but are we getting an elite playoff deep into the thick of it type of guy? I think on this list, he is one of the top. There's no way that you win this coach of the year for 2 times for no reason, but it's not like it's prime Belichick coming in. All I can really say is that it just doesn't worry me. It's not going to keep me up at night, right? Whereas when you used to have Sean Payton in the division, you did kind of worry a little bit about how things could play out. But with Stefanski, we have yet to see. I know it's a significant upgrade in talent, but we really don't know what Michael Penix is, and there's just not a whole lot of special there. It's not jumping off the screen to me. I don't know if he's jumping off the screen to you. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say, but you always wonder a little bit about that defense because the offensive talent we know is absolutely stellar. Now, for the last coaching hire I want to discuss, this is Jeff Hafley going to the Miami Dolphins. If you don't know much about Hafley, this is a guy who, with a ton of injuries in Green Bay's secondary, he comes from the college game to Green Bay. They become this turnover machine operation, and they became very good very quickly. And I think that's probably what's going to happen on the defensive end of the ball if they can get some proper personnel in there. I think that they really need a lot. We know it's an aging roster. We know this tends to be a roster where the guys are a little bit more into the glamour, into going out, not as focused necessarily on football. At least that's what the reputation is. I think that this will be a legitimate, formidable operation. Is there a chance that it goes really well? Not without a quarterback. Once again, we are in this situation. It is taking a massive gamble when you go ahead and you take a job for the location. You take a job because it's just available. This isn't the job that I would have taken if I was Hafley, but I think he can turn things around there pretty quickly because I do think that he is up there on one of the upper echelon of coaches, because it's not easy to come from the college game and dominate the way that he did, and you see plenty of coaches not be able to do that still to this day. There are definitely going to be questions because Bobby Slowick is the OC there. He doesn't have the best reputation, but is probably a little bit better on paper than what we've seen when he was in Houston. And there's a pretty strong organizational connection with the new GM who also came from the Packers. I think that this could be a sneaky good team, at least competitive in the AFC. We'll see if it is much maligned the way that it was this year. This was bizarre. But ultimately, I think out of all of these, this could be the hire that a lot of people don't see coming, or at least the team that people don't see coming. So let's see how things play out with their personnel. As always, appreciate you stopping by. We are getting into one of my favorite times of the year, the NFL offseason, where we can play hypothetical for the 8 months it takes in agony to get to the NFL season. Hit the subscribe, drop a comment. Would love to hear what you think. Is Jeff Hafley going to be the sneaky good coach? Am I being too hard on John Harbaugh and Mike McCarthy? Is Stefanski an elite deep into the playoffs coach? These are all questions that we've got to break down and we've got to continue having conversations about. I appreciate you stopping by. I will see you next time.